pilots.
Can you fly this plane and land it?
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Welcome back to Thinking Critical. This is Wes. And here on Thinking Critical, we have definitely been a huge fan of Jonathan Hickman's reboot of the X-Men universe, specifically House of X Powers of 10. We do know that Powers of 10 is coming up. That is the first big X-Men event following House of X Powers of 10 and the launch of the new Dawn of X line that has been going on for some time now. Originally, it was reported that it was going to be a 15-issue story going throughout all the X-Men titles. We now know that number has been expanded up to 24 issues in a 3-month period. And today I'm going to talk about that. First, I'm going to read the article from ScreenRant.com that kind of has all the details about the upcoming event and what we know right now. And then I'm going to bring Larry from Larry's Comics onto the channel. And we're going to talk about Ten of Swords and Dawn of X overall and what we think about Jonathan Hickman and the way it's been executed to this point. First, let's read the article from ScreenRant.com. Marvel's upcoming X-Men event, Ten of Swords, is a staggering 24 issues long. Marvel announced the Ten of Swords event at the C2E2 Comic Convention's X-Men panel, unveiling a single image of multiple X-Men wielding various swords. According to Marvel, the plot will see 10 mutants wield legendary swords and leap to the defense of the island nation of Krakoa. Plot details are sparse, but a cover image alludes to an ancient battle in which Apocalypse saved the world. It's safe to assume it will also introduce Apocalypse's first Horsemen. The comic book industry has faced a torrid time since C2E2, with the coronavirus pandemic bringing distribution screeching to a halt. Little by little, though, publishers are pushing it back to a semblance of normality. Fans have been eagerly awaiting news of Ten of Swords to see whether or not the event would be slimmed down in light of the pandemic and an anticipated economic downturn. Now, Marvel has officially confirmed that won't be the case. Marvel Comics have confirmed Ten of Swords will kick off in September, running for 3 months. What's more, far from reduced, it's actually increased, although some of the issues have been shuffled around. In general, Marvel has 2 different approaches to crossover events. In the first, they tell the main story in a central miniseries, and tie-in issues flesh out the details. In the second, which is much more common to the X-Men franchise, creative teams work together with normal stories suspended in favor of continuing the event. There are, however, some major issues with this approach. Only the best writers can actually navigate these effectively because the event frequently sidetracks the ongoing story arc. Meanwhile, because of their length, these kind of events tend to be pretty expensive for readers. In this case, assuming a cover price of $3.99 an issue, X-Men fans will need to cash out just under $100 for all 24 issues over 3 months in order to follow the whole story. 3 of these books are one-shots, so they're likely to have a higher cover price as well. This is clearly the most expensive time to be an X-Men fan in years. It's difficult to say whether this is a wise move on Marvel's part. The coronavirus pandemic and its associated lockdowns are triggering a pronounced economic downturn that sadly means by September, readers are likely to have a lot less disposable income. This is most certainly an expensive time to follow the X-Men books. So that is the article from ScreenRant.com. Now let's talk to Larry from Larry's Comics and what his thoughts are on this and Dawn of X overall. Larry from Larry's Comics here with me. Obviously, you were huge on House of X Powers of 10, just like I was here on the channel. We covered it like in depth every week. One of those came out. It was a happening here on Thinking Critical YouTube. Just such a great series. Obviously, we've gone into Dawn of X, and it feels like Jonathan Hickman's X-Men line is kind of fell off the rails, but we are heading up to Ten of Swords. Originally, it was supposed to be a 15-issue storyline that's weaving between all the different X-Men titles. Classic Marvel, they've certainly done that with X-Men before, but now it's been revealed it's now 24, and it's going to be about $100 just to buy in. What are your thoughts about that?
The Jonathan Hickman's House of X, Powers of X, what was the best thing to happen to the X line, but it also, in my opinion, laid out a template for success for the entire comic industry that I haven't seen anybody emulate. Fans want a top quality, consistent creative team that ships on time. And that was weekly. Every single week, people came in and everybody was in a good mood because the X-Men were good again, picking up their one book, and it never shipped late. The train was on time. It was just fantastic. And then they diluted it. The best parts of all the X titles are the main threads that Hickman has laid out for us. And one of them is, Apocalypse, he wants his original Horseman back. And if this storyline is the X-Men fight, they defend Krakoa and the whole island and the Earth realm from these new dark beings from the Excalibur realm. I mean, I really don't give a shit.
Nobody does.
I got a feeling. I just have a feeling that Venom, Thor, and this are all tied together. I think this darkness that Apocalypse defended the Earth from originally, I think it was Null.
There was certainly hinted at.
If this crossover is Null coming to Earth and Apocalypse stepping up and somehow getting back his original Horseman to defend Earth from Null, fucking incredible. But if it's, monsters from the Excalibur alternate realm dimension, I mean, I really don't care. I don't care about a new Captain Britain. I don't care about defending the Earth from a new foe. I mean, is Marvel so devoid of any creativity that in Thor, we have the Black Winter, which is this big, massive black energy that's moving towards Earth. And then in Venom, we've got Null, which is a big, massive black energy that's moving towards Earth. And now in the X-Men, there's a portal opened up on Krakoa with a big, black, massive energy that's moving towards Earth. An editor can't fucking approve that. Let's make all the villains, it's got to be connected. If it's connected, that's the geekasm. That's the type of thing that I love. Comic stories that matter. I love continuity. Tell whatever story you want to tell. Make it fit within the framework of the rules that you've set up before. If this is all somehow tied together, I mean, it's going to be a fucking home run. And $25 spread out over a few months ain't that bad, pal.
Well, it's $100, so spread out over. It's in 3 months.
Okay,
but
$33 a month.
$25. It's just $24.
That sounds like a book or two a week. I mean, that's not going to kill anybody. And some of them are going to probably be Red Sky crossovers. You can judge for yourself. There'll be core books. I'm going to get the X of Swords, and I'm going to get the X-Men books, and then I'll pick up the other stuff, and I'd thumb through it and see if it really matters.
Well,
but the least interesting,
all the big titles, Hellions, I think, is in there. Obviously, Excalibur, New Mutants, all those.
The most interesting part of House of X, Powers of X, to me, has been Apocalypse, Lady Apocalypse, and his original Horseman. The least interesting part of the new X stuff has been Excalibur and all the different realms. So it could go either way.
The stuff I've enjoyed so far has been when Hickman has been tying it into House of X, Powers of 10. When we're seeing the children of the Vault, and they're kind of trapped in another dimension, and then finally we saw the Araco and I think Krakoa emerge, and we know that
that's back in X-Men 2. We're on issue 10 now. Hickman laid out some very big plot threads, and that's like Mystique. They promised to bring back her Destiny. And they're not. They're fucking her over, and Mystique is not going to stand for it. That's a killer plot thread. Moira McTaggart, how she plays into this whole deal. She's asleep under Krakoa in stasis, so nobody knows she's there. But we know in one form she's Lady Apocalypse. People love that. Apocalypse with, his original Horseman. I mean, it's just that's the coolest shit stuff that everybody wants.
I don't want the plain villains that are in X-Force right now, or the.
I don't care about Excalibur, the different realm, and a new.
Like my
Captain
ears are
Britain.
Yeah,
just awful. But can you imagine these editors? What fucking boobs they are? If none of this is connected, but they're all visually kind of the same. Just big black menace coming towards Earth. It would be ridiculous if there's no connection. And this week coming up too, we also have Thor number 5, which is massively anticipated because this is the issue that's supposedly going to spell out what the Black Winter is.
Thor has been like quietly. Well, it's not even quiet. I think it's the best Marvel ongoing. Like,
Thor
awesome.
was my #1 selling title in the shop that got affected by this pandemic. I mean, Thor was rolling every single month, more positive word of mouth, building. And then everything just stopped at 4. I mean, that's a great storyline. Cates is hitting the ball out of the park.
Nick Klein on the art is fantastic.
Yeah, it's just outrageous. I noticed, perusing eBay today, I noticed that next week's 1 in 25 Thor variant is already selling over $60. It's like upward trajectory. I mean, somebody knows something. That's an indicator.
Like old back in the day, if you had a 1 in 25 variant, you would expect it to sell for $25. If you had a 1 in 100 variant, it's $100 comic.
10 to 25. This is selling at 2 to 2.5 times ratio before it comes out. It's a great Assad Ribic cover, and the rumor is that we're gonna. Well, actually, another retailer did a store exclusive variant, and it I believe that variant cover leaks what's going to happen in this issue. Something really, really big, and people are excited for it. So tentpole, the industry is generating tentpole books right now. Boom Studios this week had Wind, a James Tynion independent book that was just insane. Everybody loves James Tynion. I mean, he can draw stick figures, and people are going to come out of the woodwork to check it out. It was a little too cartoony for me, but just sold.
I didn't like the cover, so I stayed away. But his Something's Killed in the Children is absolutely phenomenal. It's better than his Batman, as far as I'm concerned.
I just reread it last night. The first issue, I found the artwork to be a little bit too primal and gestural for me, but now I don't know. But once you get into the story, the artwork makes sense and it's fine. I liked it. But I mentioned before on this show that the horror genre is potentially the huge.
Yeah, absolutely. On Sunday, I'm releasing a video that Perch and I actually recorded a few days ago. It's like the 5 things that comic books are doing great right now. And the one thing was horror and sci-fi. It's the best genres in comics, better than everything else.
What would you say for sci-fi? What
would
you recommend?
Blade Runner 2019. There's a lot of good stuff out there. Sci-fi. Heist, How to Steal a Planet. There's a lot of good stuff. Well, and I even consider all the stuff.
I don't see new people coming around because of sci-fi.
The quality was high.
Interesting.
The quality is high. I don't think the sales have quite got there, but horror has been.
Horror is a cult genre. You know, it's still like a kind of an underground punk alternative type person that's into it, and they love comic shops, and they love discovering horror books, and they're tough to find, and they're obscure. Yeah. And people
that's
like to
dig
around, and they love
like all the best horror stuff.
But anyway, at X of Swords, I'm gonna absolutely give it a shot. I mean, our subscriptions on X-Men are really high.
I thought you said you lost a lot of them for some of the.
We lost almost 25% on the weak sisters. New Mutants. People have discovered that New Mutants ain't written by Jonathan Hickman or co-written by him. His name's just on it. I mean, it's junk. X-Force still doing really well. Actually, X-Force may be up 10%. Wolverine came out of the gates smoking. Just like Thor, Wolverine, there's a book that the momentum just ceased. Issues 1 and 2 were fantastic. Marvel tried to do their typical Marvel trick with issue 1. They build it as, a Kubert issue, and they put half the issue was drawn by somebody else, but they tricked themselves. Yeah, and that guy was better than Kubert. I mean, the backup of Wolverine 1 was better than the front story.
Well, it's two different story arcs. It's the one with the vampires. Yeah.
But typical Marvel is to bait and switch you. You know what I mean? They give you the big name creator, you know what I mean, that they tell you the books from, and then they usually have the backup written by Trini Howard and drawn by Larry Doherty. It sucks.
Joe McFucknuggets is what we call him here on the channel.
Joe McFucknuggets on the back. Yeah, but Wolverine was great. Excalibur's been falling off a cliff, and just all the other X stuff is just junk. The X-Men is, that's one of their big dogs.
So what is the feeling about X-Force and Children? Was it Children of the Atom that are coming out? Is there any momentum for those, or are they just people lumping those in with the
you mean X Factor?
Yeah.
X Factor, I would say, looks to be shades of New Warriors.
Yeah, but Leah Williams.
But it's what Hickman set up. Hickman set up that mechanics in, I think, Powers of X2 on 1 and 2 with the what are they, the designed mutants in the future, where you can take the powers of Cyclops and the powers of Nightcrawler and combine.
You're talking about Children of the Atom. I'm talking about X Factor.
X Factor looks
terrible
goofy,
to me, but
goofy. Yeah, it looks. But I read the description. It seemed to be a little bit politically correct characters and just kind of a snooty X team. I don't know. We didn't have a lot of pre-orders on that.
Where the younger characters are like imitating their favorite.
We have huge orders on that. Like I said, because that's a direct, what I assume is a direct sequel to, the mechanic that Hickman set up in House of X, Powers of X. Those are the designer X teams.
I think people are going to be really disappointed.
Did you like House of X? Did you like Powers of X?
No. I'm telling you, I've read up on the story. That's not what it is. It's teenagers with like contraptions so they can imitate their favorite heroes.
So it has nothing to do with those designer X-Men in the future where they take the X gene of this one and that one and splice it.
Gen Z mutants.
Yeah, that's gonna suck.
It is gonna suck. I hope people aren't falling for it. I feel bad.
The editor who is succeeding despite himself, Jordan White. I mean, that guy can fuck up a wet dream.
He is the main culprit in the Legion of Doofus. Is right up there with Tom Brevoort.
Tom Brevoort is a master of the Marvel universe. Tom Brevoort has the basic knowledge and skills, but I think he is public enemy number one in the SJW Marvel. I think he's the guy that like enables the entire network and just does all this stupid shit. Almost like I don't know, baiting type storylines. It's just awful.
As long as CB Cebulski's right hand men are Jordan White and Tom Brevoort, he's playing behind the 8 ball because he's got a couple more.
I don't necessarily think that they're CB's right and left hand men. I think that Brevoort and Bob Harris run the show, and I think that CB is like a figurehead there. That
Bob Harris is at DC Comics.
Oh, okay.
He's the EIC.
Yep.
But Brevoort's kind of like I think when we don't want to get into this too much, but when Cebulski came in, they released the information about his pen name in Japan, and I think a lot of the powers that he was supposed to have were taken away. I believe Brevoort had some of that. Joe Quesada got some of it, stuff like that.
But if you follow Brevoort's Twitter, I mean, he's a true master of the Marvel universe, and just some of the decisions he makes are just almost taunting.
I don't think knowing Marvel trivia should put you up there as being one of the architects of the entire line.
It's a big help, in my opinion. It's a big help if you're an editor.
Well, yeah, he used to be the guy that was in charge of like continuity, but they don't really do that anymore.
It sucks when those books are, even gesturally connected. I mean, that's what makes it work for me and a lot of other people. It seemed like there was a movement 6 years ago to get rid of continuity, which I just thought was ridiculous. You build this interconnected, mythos, and you want to tell stories outside of the mythos, like lazy storytelling. You can tell any story you want within the framework of continuity. It just takes a little bit of effort to how to make what you want to tell, work within the mechanics of what's been set up in the past.
All right, Larry, I think this is going to kind of wrap up our conversation about Tennis Swords. Obviously, we went off a couple little roads. It happens. Do you have anything else that you want to say about the event? Before we
if it's the X-Men on Krakoa versus monsters from the fucking Excalibur universe, I mean, it's going to tank. If it is somehow connected to Null or the Black Winter and somehow connected back to Jason Aaron's storylines, connected to Johnny Cates storylines, it's going to be fantastic. I can't wait. I hope that's the type of stuff that I have a geek on about that happens at these like Marvel summits. Like, how do they they're all working on this little thing, and how do they, secretly connect them? That'd really work for me. And I think fans too.
I agree with you. Thanks a lot, Larry. I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.